One of my favorite books in the Bible is the book of Romans. It's an epistle written to the church and churches in Rome by the Apostle Paul. And he really, in the first 2 or 3 chapters, really describes the truth on man's digression from original perfection from Adam down to his current day. How that initially the true God was worshipped in the very beginning, and everything was perfect, a perfect society, a perfect world. But then after the fall of man, because of Adam, people degenerated, and they started worshiping animals, and they started worshiping stars and moons, and they started erecting and creating for themselves gods of metal and wood and stone and other things, and they would actually pay homage to those rather than the Creator. And he said that was evolutionary, but it was evolutionary in the wrong direction. That it was a downward spiral from what was superior, and they would worship lesser gods, and gods of money, gods of prosperity, gods of health, gods of fertility. They had a god just about for everything. So the Apostle Paul lived in the age of the Greeks, and the Greeks had many gods. The Romans had many gods. Even his own countrymen, the Israelites, had forsaken God and worshipped false gods, and so I guess they just wanted to be have their own concepts of what God was, and it was all I don't know what possessed them to reject the true God and to worship false gods. A lot of the gods revolved around business. It was business to. It was a very lucrative market to create gods and sell gods and promote gods and advertise gods and display gods. It's big business, and they sold these gods at a very high price, with a tag that promised whatever the purchaser wanted. If they wanted wealth or happiness, they purchased that god. If they wanted fertility, to be able to have children, they would purchase a different god. They would go to the marketplace and purchase these gods, and they really were sold. They were duped. They were deceived into thinking that these objects that weren't even animated could bring them what they lusted for. But they weren't searching for the true God, the God who created the heavens and the earth. Makes very clear in the other prophetic writings, not just in the book of Romans, that God was offended. He was insulted by these gods. It was an affront to to his person, because God is to be revered and respected and to be honored, and God was being disrespected, and I guess God is sensitive towards idolatry, uh, people worshiping or honoring and paying respect to everything else, but God. Uh, God, being the creator, wants to be recognized as such. And but people, as the Apostle Paul said, people do not want to retain God in their knowledge, in their minds. So they want to they distract themselves with everything else but God, with entertainment or pleasure or whatever else they can busy themselves and preoccupy themselves with. And pretty soon, God is just totally absent from their thinking. And so whenever God is brought up, they usually shy away from it real quick and change the subject, because God is almost like either it's out of fear, or if it's uncomfortable. The topic of God is uncomfortable. Uh, I don't know if it's because why does it bring conviction and so much dissension and irritability when God is mentioned? I mean, what did God do to offend anybody? Uh, is God bad? Is God is God offensive? Is the idea of God offensive? Because some people get really hostile. Some people even get really hostile when you mention God. I'm not sure why. It almost that's evidence in of itself that God